Hello. So this is another webinar or the continuity of the most essential learning competencies webinar series that started from the first topic that was discussed by Dr. Pampilon, entitled Alignment of Different Learning Tasks to MEL, to Most Essential Learning Competencies. So this is just a sequel of the webinar series as provided by the Viable group on their YouTube channel. So to continue the webinar series, so I'll be the one who is assigned to discuss the horizontal integration of subject area competencies in relation to the most essential learning competencies that we will be rolling out in the next few months. Now, to start off, before I start my webinar for this afternoon session, so I would like to acknowledge first the people behind my success, and those people um, these are groups of people that I would like to acknowledge. So my high school friends from Manuel G. Santos Memorial School, headed by our school principal before, Ofelia C. Cruz. She's now the current principal of Christian Academy of Pandi. I would also like to thank my professors or acknowledge my professors and colleagues in college at the University of the Philippines Extension Program in Pampanga. Also, my former professors and college classmates in the University of the Philippines, Diliman, my former professors and classmates in Our Lady of Fatima University, headed by our program head, Dr. Vilma Malay Duca. Um, my professors and colleagues in the graduate school at Far Eastern University, our program head, Dr. Anel Humamil. Also, I would like to acknowledge the different institutions that I worked with. ICI, or Immaculate Conception International, headed by Attorney Normita Llamas Villanueva, Dr. Yangas Colleges Incorporated, with its president, Sir Michael Yanga, my former dean under the College of Arts and Sciences, Dean Enrico Wakiko, and also Dr. Maria Visitacion Fernandez, to my ACLC family, headed by our former school director, Sir Francis James Montaos, and also our current school directress, Ma'am Risa Balanque, to the Mary the Queen School of Malolos, Sir Alan Joffrey Cruz, and also to the St. San Diego Parochial School as headed by Sister Susana Bondoc. And most importantly, I would like to acknowledge my beloved school where I am currently working, Masagana High School, headed by our beloved principal, Irene S. Velasco, together with my junior high school co-teachers and our senior high school focal person, Ma'am Bernardita S. Cruz, my co-teachers in the senior high school department, Ma'am Annalyn Bermudez, Ma'am Andrea Agustin, Ma'am Marlon Joy Santiago, and Ma'am Jonna Lisa Bandol. Also to my Bulabog family, you guys, and also for my best friends in life, Doc Maria Jesusa de Jos Berhel Pampilon, Sir Ryan Bautista, J.R. Molase, John Elisa Bandol, Jemson de los Santos, Johnny Ros Mendoza, and the last but not the least, my family, my father, Albert Andagan, my mother, Estelita Andagan, my siblings, Jenny Lynn and Jennifer. And most importantly, to God, to our Almighty God, for giving us the the blessings of life in spite of the current situation or the health concern that we are currently experiencing right now. Now, to start my webinar for this afternoon, I have here the talk outline. So for the talk outline, so I'll be discussing the first, let's define first what is integration. So to better understand what is horizontal integration, let's start first with integration itself. And then after that, we will be moving on to horizontal integration, the different components of it, the characteristics, the different stages that it has to go through, why is it important to integrate, and the principles of behind horizontal integration, the different approaches. I believe you have to really wait for this one, for this topic, approaches of horizontal integration, its advantages and disadvantages. Now, to start off, let's have first, what is integration? So literally, when we say integration, it simply means to combine. Now, in the most essential learning competencies, as discussed by USEC San Antonio, and also from the previous webinar series as discussed by Dr. Pampilon, in the most essential learning competencies, we will be combining the most important learning competencies of the different subject areas. So here, when we say integration, the problem concerns real to the student and the real in the community. So this only means that we will be looking at the connection between theory-based learning and its real-life situation application. Now, students and teachers work together to select a specific topic of interest to them, and together they plan how, when, where, and why they will pursue it. So in the most essential learning competency, it will be pre-planned ahead of time. So as of today, I believe most of the teachers are already planning what will be the learning delivery modalities that they will be using depending on the needs or the available resources of that an individual learner has. Next, it's an active students' participation in decision making. So here, it's also student directed. So that is for integration. Explore issue to understand and to propose a solution, suggestion, a new direction, and report the results. So that's why at the end of the school year, it is expected among learners that they will be able to come up with a learning portfolio, regardless of whatever learning delivery modalities that they were going to use. Next, develop essential skills intrinsic to their learning. Since in the absence of the classroom, the motivation should come out from them naturally. So they have to discover their own motivation, since they are the different factors or elements inside the classroom or inside the school is no longer present inside or within the boundaries of their home. Next, key skill may be formulating questions, creating hypotheses, working out way to collect data, and report on what has been learned. So here, an individual learner could also develop his or her research skills. And if you could still remember in the discuss, as mentioned by Yusek San Antonio, he said that one of the lifelong learning skills that an individual should develop is research skills. And this is across all disciplines. So next we have subject content and knowledge comes into play another rather than before, deciding what is to be studied and how. So that's why out of the essential learning competencies, it was trimmed down or filtered out into the most essential learning competencies. Um, uh, as the record says, from 14,171 essential learnings competencies, it was reduced into 60% were reduced, um, making it 40% of the most essential learning competencies, which is 5,689 across all the grade levels. Now, why this integration is genuinely interactive? It is based on topic of substance and significance. So when we say based on topic of substance and significance, the most essential learning competencies are the basic skills that an individual should be equipped or should acquire or gain as he or she go along with the lesson. So these basic skills would be significant if they will be able to apply it in a real life situation. So here, directly inside their house, they could see the practicality of applying those learning that um, they were able to gain from the different learning modalities. And then place on emphasis on seeing connection in and purpose for learning. So here, they can also easily see the different connections between the different subject areas. Unlike before, since if they're going to if we are going to base it with the original curriculum guide rolled out by the department, you see there are a lot of competencies. And with those competencies, the students or the learners rather was not able to see the connection between the different subjects. But if we're going to boil it down, it's just one competency that would somehow target or hit the different competencies that each subject um, would want to an individual or a learner to acquire at the end of the lesson. And then develop big ideas that excite the imagination. So in the absence of the classroom setting or the school setting, an individual learner for the most essential learning competency, it will also help them to ignite their imagination, since they have to localize the different materials in the absence of the available tools that they can use inside the school. So they have to come up with their own. And then develop desire for the learning process. So here, they will not be reminded most of the time to do the learning process. It will be based on the pacing or their learning style that they would want um, to implement in their learning action plan. And then develop skills and knowledge that are real to students. So here, what are those skills? So those skills are the fundamental skills that is very relevant to the student that they could that they could easily see when they apply it in real life problem. So they could easily get a feedback or a solution to those problems. And then build on and extend knowledge and experience. So it's not just the student who will learn from this um, delivery modalities, but also the family members, since it's a collaborative effort between the teachers and the parent teachers who will serve as facilitator during the course of the learning process. And then develop sustained programs or work. So as one of the goal of Sulong Edukalidad is for the the modernization of our educational system. So this could help us to sustain the different programs amidst the different problems that may arise in the future. Now, to start off, now to formally start our discussion, so we have here the horizontal integration. So what is horizontal integration all about? A horizontal integration is one in which children broadly explore knowledge in various subjects related to certain aspects of their environment. When we say horizontal integration, it is an approach that purposefully draws together knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values from within or across subject areas to develop a more powerful understanding of key ideas. So that's why they filtered out the essential learning competencies to the most important ones. And then in the horizontal integration, it occurs when components of the curriculum are connected and related in the meaningful ways by both the students and the teachers, and at the same time, the parent teachers, most especially for the kindergarten up to grade 3, since they are the one who will be dealing most of the time um, with the learners. Okay. Another, it sees links among the humanities, communication arts, natural sciences, mathematics, social studies, music, and art. Skills and knowledge are developed and applied in more than one area of study. Now, in keeping with this thematic definition, so Shoemaker 2015 defines a horizontal integration as education education that is organized in such a way that it cuts across subject matter lines, bringing together various aspects of the subject area competencies into a meaningful association to focus upon broad areas of study. It views learning and teaching in a holistic way and reflects the real world, which is interactive. So here you'll see directly the interaction between a classroom-based learning with its application to the real world, since the students will be confined or constrained within the four corners of their house or household. they would see directly the relevance of the things that they are learning across the different subject areas. Now, what are the components of horizontal integration? So the components of the horizontal integration focuses on basic skills. So what are those basic skills? Again, going back, as I mentioned earlier, so these are the lifelong skills that they can use as they move on with the real life situation, the content and higher level thinking. Since in the absence of the classroom setup, they have to visualize different things, or they have to customize learning. With this one, they have to come up with big ideas. So it somehow help them develop higher order thinking skills or the higher level thinking. It also encourages lifelong learning. So given that you will be equipped with the fundamental or the necessary skills, and then structures learning around themes, big ideas, and meaningful concepts. So again, they will not delve into non-essential learning competencies, but more of the most essential one. And then provides connections among various curricular disciplines. It also provides learners opportunity to apply skills they have learned. If you notice, it's simply saying that it's more of integration, combination, collaboration of the different subjects and be able to apply it in a real life situation wherein you just need you just have to be capable or equipped with the basic skills. Also for the just to share, for the horizontal integration, curriculum integration or the horizontal integration can be described as an approach to teaching and learning that is based on both philosophy and practicality. So it actually contains two parts. It could be planned or spontaneous. Yusek San Antonio used the term synchronous or asynchronous. So in the distance learning that he mentioned or that he discussed, um, the setting among the student and the teacher could be planned learning process, or it could be unplanned. So depending on the learning style of the student. So that's why they also have to consider differentiated learning instruction or this differentiated instruction to address the different learning styles of our student. So that's why the regional, the division in the school is in the better position to decide what would be the learning delivery modalities that they have to use. Since they already conducted the survey, they will be able to identify what would be the most appropriate one. Next, encourages active participation in relevant real-life experiences. So here, there's a real-life experiences for horizontal integration. Captivates, motivates, and challenges learners. So here, it's really a big challenge because apart from we are lacking of technology since we are still considered as a third world country. Aside from that, we also have to consider the challenges from cultural barriers, geographical barriers. So those are challenges that they really have to face. And with horizontal integration, hopefully they'll be able to at least find an immediate solution to those challenges and be able to overcome it. And then provides a deeper understanding of the content since they have to dwell with it for a specific essential a learning competency for a longer period of time. Unlike before, wherein they just have to discuss or to have the discussion or the lesson for an hour, in the most essential learning competencies, or the different using the different learning delivery modalities, it will take a lot of time. So there will be mastery of the lesson. Offers opportunity for small group and industrialized instruction. So it can be done by batch. It can be done face to face, in Zoom, or in the different mediums that it will be more convenient among the learners, and at the same time among the teachers. So accommodates a variety of learning styles, theories such as social learning theory, cooperative learning, intrinsic motivation and self-efficacy, and even multiple intelligences. So here they have to do multitasking also. Now, what are the characteristics of a horizontal integration? So the first one, it should be directed real world application, since they are no longer monitored or can no longer observed by the teacher. So obviously they are the one who will direct the execution of the lesson, or they have to perform it on their own, and with the presence or facilitation of the parent teacher. And then research based, yes, this is one of the good thing about horizontal integration. It's research based because they have to come up with a certain theme concept that I will be discussing later on. And then usage of multiple resources. Here, they will be able to contextualize the different available resources that they have at home. And this will be further discussed by the next webinar series, which is tomorrow, contextualized learning delivery modalities. And then social skills improved. Here, it's not just the social skills that will be improved inside the school or in the social media, but here, the one thing that will be improved most importantly is the communication between the parents and the family members. Unlike before, in the traditional classroom setting, most of the time they have to spend most of the time they have to spend the whole day in school, and then going home, they have to do their homework. Now here, they will be able to spend a lot of time with the family members and be able to have a better understanding and create a stronger relationship or bond among the family members, most especially with the parents, since they are the one who will be, or hopefully will be assigned as facilitators. And then collaboration, problem answer, find an authentic literature on a topic. Now, what are the steps of horizontal integration? So the first one is selecting a theme. If you're familiar with qualitative research, it's the same thing. You have to formulate a certain theme, and these themes came from the different codes or the different subject areas. So you have to look at to where a certain competency or where those subject areas would meet in a certain or in an essential learning competency. Next, so that's why it is a good thing that you pre-planned a weekly learning task. And that weekly learning task is a collaboration between the different subject areas, and it is being unified with a learning competency. Okay, so that's a horizontal integration. So collecting text and other materials, engaging students. So while the student is performing a certain task, he or she unconsciously is performing the different essential learning competencies across all subjects with just doing a single performance task. So it's like hitting two birds with one stone. And then grouping students, expanding thing. Why do we have to group students? As I've mentioned earlier, the students have different learning styles. So we have to provide a differentiated instruction wherein it is appropriate for the type or the kind of learning style an individual learner has. And then expanding the theme and then assessing the student growth. Now, for the enhanced K-12 curriculum that we'll be implementing for the school year 2020 to 2021, it's quite difficult to they're not really sure yet on what would be the summative assessment that will be used that is generic for all the students. However, since it will be a weekly learning task, we still have the formative assessment just to check if the student fully understand or understood the topic, and then they can move on to the subsequent learning competency. Now, why is horizontal integration important? Students see relationships among ideas and concepts as they plan and experience a theme-based inquiry. So you see here, a learner could easily see how the different subjects are interrelated or interconnected with each other by just performing a learning task. And then relationship between in and out of school topics become obvious to students. Communication processes become authentic as students engage in a thematically based learning activities. Okay. And then students are encouraged to share ideas as they listen to one another, their personal basis of ideas as expanded, because this is more of experiential learning. So here, it would be much easier to reflect on the learnings or the understanding that they have in relation to the topic, because here, since they have to do it firsthand, so it's a firsthand experience that would somehow will be very relevant or important to them. Respect and cooperation among peers are expanded through interaction, and then most especially among their parents, because here the role the parents will serve the role of the facilitator. And then students become more responsible for and engaged in their own learning. So here they can no longer blame anyone, their classmate, the teacher, the classroom atmosphere, the environment, the school environment, because um, they have to do it. They have to do things on their own. So they will be able to learn self-efficacy, to do things independently. So for me, it's a good thing. The teacher assumes that the role of facilitator rather than information dispenser. So here, it's no longer about student-teacher discussion. It's no longer about lecture. This one here will be maximizing teachers as facilitator. So here they will be able to realize what facilitating really is all about. A sense of community develops as cooperatively designed student projects and classroom displays are created. So this is more on practical application of the learning, and at the same time, students has to cooperate with their immediate community, particularly their family. Many grouping patterns naturally emerge. maybe based on the learning delivery modalities that they will be using. And then assessment is continuous and related to learning and diverse. So in the horizontal integration, we'll be eliminating, eradicating the irrelevant activities. So we'll just be looking at the most suitable activities that will obviously obviously help the student understand better specific certain lesson. Principles of horizontal integration. So learning, build, extends, and expands a student's or learner's personal knowledge and experience, open-ended, and provide for a range of learning style. So here, they are the one who will decide on how they will execute or how they will be able to understand a lesson or a topic using their learning style. It's provided by the teacher as facilitator. Process of learning valued as the product of learning. A range of possible approaches to curriculum integration, making connections and seeing real purpose for their learning. So based in topics of substance and significance, linked to problems and issues that are all personal and social concern to students. Now, one problem that I was able to recognize or analyze while doing this presentation is what if there are mental health problems when it comes to the students. Now, when it comes to the mental health, because obviously in school they have problems, particularly when it comes to mental health. Now, there are a lot of webinars also provided by tribal groups that will somehow teach you or help you understand on how to deal with the different mental health issues while you're doing or while delivering the subject matter. Okay. Learning experiences develop big ideas that excite and challenge the imagination. So I already mentioned this before, actively involved in negotiating the content and direction of their learning. So that's why the first during 2 months before the opening of classes, they still have to negotiate what will be the learning, the delivery modalities, what would be the most essential learning competencies that they will be using or implementing in the course of the lesson or in the different subject areas. Knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes are integrated. So approaches of horizontal integration. So as uh, as I mentioned, or like what I said earlier, so this is one of the subtopics that you really have to understand for horizontal integration. So what are those approaches? The first one, we have interdisciplinary approach. The second one, we have multidisciplinary, and we also have the transdisciplinary. Now, in some textbook, a reference book that I was able to browse, they use the, the, the term or the word intradisciplinary for interdisciplinary. But in this webinar session, I'll be using interdisciplinary. So when we say interdisciplinary approach, it is within subject areas. So knowledge and skills are connected within one subject. So when teachers integrate the subdisciplines within a subject area, they are using an or intradisciplinary approach, integrating reading, writing, and oral communication in language arts is a common example. So here you see it really focuses on the basic skill, which is skills or the essential learning competencies. A good example of this is in a school-wide grade 7, 8 unit, 4 to 6 weeks long, developed by teachers. So the longevity of the discussion will somehow help the learners to master certain skill. Now, knowledge and skills are learned through individual subject areas. The distinctive nature of learning for interdisciplinary is recognized in each subject area. Now, on the next slide, I'll show you an illustration on how the interdisciplinary would work or will work in the different subject area competencies. Now, here in this illustration, in this figure, you see we have the four subject areas such as English, science, history, and geography. Now remember, the first step that you have to do in the horizontal integration process is to select a theme. Now, as discussed by Dr. Pampilon in the identifying and analyzing weekly learning tasks, it's the same thing that you have to come up with a theme concept. So say, for example, for first week, your interdisciplinary skills that you would like the learner to develop or to gain is literacy, thinking skills, numeracy, and research skills. Now, those four basic skills, or if we're going to transform it into the most essential learning competencies, it will be it will hit already, or it will target already the four subject areas. Now, the student's personal meaning and the social relevance of learning are enhanced by the integration of cognitive, affective, and social domains with subject area knowledge and skills. So that's why this approach can really be implemented or used in the most essential learning competency or in the different learning delivery modalities that we'll be using for this coming school year. Another, for the interdisciplinary, the focus of the study was survival in the changing world. So this is very timely since during this pandemic, it's a sudden turn, or it's a turning point in the lives of not just the entire world, but also the educational system. So all subject areas were involved in the unit, including a foreign language, agriculture, and life management. All teachers focused on problem solving, decision making, and communication, and selected the concepts that were most compatible with their course content. So this approach lends itself very well to planning with standards and performance assessment, because the standards for each discipline are clearly set out. As mentioned by USEC San Antonio, the most essential learning competencies will be released before the start of the school year. But I was fortunate enough to at least have an overview of the most essential learning competencies. If you want to know those most essential learning competencies, you can check Teach Pinas website. So they already provided an idea of how the essential learning competencies will be trimmed down into the most essential one. Now, I was able to browse or scan the most essential learning competencies for the senior high school. Since I'm teaching in the senior high school, I've noticed that there are a lot of subjects that was overlapping before, that already decongested into a single subject. So before, we are having problems or dilemma with the subject matter, since most especially in English, because when we are teaching English, it's like we're repeating the same topic with the different subject areas, but obviously we're just dealing with a single competency. So here, so the redundancy in the most essential learning competencies will automatically eliminated or removed. Next, multidisciplinary. For the multidisciplinary, in a multidisciplinary approach, two or more subject areas are organized around the same theme or topic. In elementary school, this often occurs when learning centers are utilized. The topic may be pioneers, and students rotate through a math center, language center, and a visual arts center. At each one, they explore the topic of pioneers by an activity grounded in the curriculum subject area. For the multidisciplinary, this is between subject areas wherein topics, themes, issues, or big ideas bring together outcomes for more than one subject area. So the subject area outcomes remain distinct, although it's a combination, but here you'll see the distinction of the different skills that you will be developed, or the learning competencies that you will be developing in a particular specific subject area. So knowledge and skills are learned through individual subject, but at times connect to curricular topics, themes, issues, or big ideas. In a secondary schools, a common theme is often studied in various subject-based classrooms. So for example, teachers of all subject areas at high school and have agreed to integrate the public health issue of physical activity into their lesson plan. So say for example, in the senior high school, if a group of students will be conducting or will be holding a seminar, in that particular seminar, they will be focusing on a single topic. However, although they are focusing on a single topic, they will be integrating the different learnings that they had or that they have from the different subjects. Say for example, they will be using the learnings that they had in empowerment technologies, um, in entrepreneurship, for marketing, and all that. So basically, it's still a combination. So they undertook this integration in concert with the social studies was to look at policy making procedures, and English was to write editorials and public service announcement about the issue. You see, this is directly an example. So it's a concerted effort across the subject areas. In math class, students learned graphing, plotting percentages and ratios as they pertain to collecting health data. So that's another. Sociology and psychology students were to implement and test planned intervention. So you see directly the connection between the subjects, but it's still distinct. Now, just to give you or to help you visualize what multidisciplinary is, so you'll see here the different subject areas. So you have music, English, family studies, science, drama, geography, physical education, math, design, and technology history would come up with uh, a single theme. And that particular single theme would help a learner to perform different learning tasks for the different subject areas. The students are guided to see linkages between the subject areas also. And they will be able to see the personal meaning and the social relevance of learning are enhanced by the integration of cognitive, affective, and social domains with subject area knowledge and skills. Next, you have the transdisciplinary integration. In the transdisciplinary approach to integration, teachers organize curriculum around subject questions and concerns. Students develop life skills as they apply interdisciplinary and disciplinary skills in a real life context. So there are two routes led to transdisciplinary integration. It could be project-based learning and negotiating the curriculum. So in the most essential learning competencies or the learning delivery modalities, they will be having a project-based learning on a weekly basis. So that project-based learning task should be negotiated with the curriculum guide. And in the negotiation or in the learning task, the facilitator has to make sure that all subject areas will be compensated once the student or the learner will be performing the weekly task. Now, just to give you a better understanding or to visualize transdisciplinary integration, so you have the subject areas, we have the theme, concepts, life skills, real world context, and then student questions. So in the transdisciplinary approach, it is beyond subject areas already. So it focuses on student-initiated questions and projects. And then also it emphasizes world context. So here it's more of indigenizing or localizing a theory-based knowledge into a real-life situation. And the knowledge and skills are interconnected and interdependent. So there is less emphasis on the subject area. So knowledge and skills from different subject areas are the focus of student-initiated projects. Now, what are the advantages of the horizontal integration? So the first one, we have the connections. So here, obviously, the student would be able to identify or to see what are the connections between the different subjects. If I will be performing a certain task, I will be able to meet a certain objective in a specific subject area. So if I'm doing this learning task or performing this learning task, I will be also for this particular subject area, I am performing the same. I will be performing also for the other subject area. And also there is variety within learning. You see in the in the different approaches that is available in the horizontal integration, there is a possibility that there is a diversity when it comes to learning. So here, you'll be able to choose what would be the most engaging activity that you can use that will somehow capture the attention or the interest of the learner, particularly the different group of learners using the differentiated instructions. Classroom culture, hopefully in the absence of the classroom, in the most essential learning competence in the enhanced K-12 curriculum that will be implemented for this school year, hopefully the student could still feel the feeling of the classroom while they are inside their home or their houses. And then curriculum advancement. Why is it curriculum advancement? Because the students will be able to learn higher order thinking skills or develop higher level thinking. Now, what are the disadvantages? For the disadvantages, it's the interest issues. Here, if if a student or a learner has personal issues that they really have to address first, obviously learning will be affected. They have to deal with it first before they will have the interest or the motivation to understand or to study a specific lesson. because if they are preoccupied with other things, it will be very much difficult for them to fully understand or understood a learning task. Another is content issues. For content issues, there are cases that um, since it's a collaboration of the different subject areas, there are issues that a certain subject, a certain subject area might be neglected um, when a certain learning task is being performed, or in terms of the gravity or the weight of the learning competencies or the skills that will be developed in the different subject areas will be different while performing a certain task. So that's another disadvantage. So the percentage, say for example, if it's 100%, we cannot really be sure that you will be giving 20% equally across all subjects. So that's another thing. A turn with classroom culture. So this is no longer what if it's outside the classroom setup. So in the horizontal integration, it might be difficult for the student to have the gut feel of being inside the classroom. So that's another disadvantage. And then inaccessible to some students due to cultural, academic, or ability differences. You see, in the horizontal integration, not just because of the horizontal integration, but with the kind of situation that we are currently experiencing with the pandemic that we have to face today in the next few days, months, and even for a year. It's um it's an it's a recurring problem when it comes to culture. Long before this pandemic, we have problems when it comes to cultural, academic, or ability differences. And hopefully that this will not be main problem when the Department of Education started the class for this upcoming school year. So I guess this is the last slide. So thank you so much for watching, and God bless us all. I hope I was able to give justice to the topic. I know there are other curriculum experts that could also share, but the little thing that I know about horizontal integration hopefully help those co-educators to realize what would be the most essential or the most necessary teaching or facilitating style or strategy that we'll be using among our learners. Before I end this webinar, um, I would like to end this webinar with the saying that the individual is the most important. So regardless of whatever learning delivery modalities that we'll be using for this upcoming school year, one thing is for sure. As long as we are driven or we have the soul, we have the desire, we have the motivation to help our student learn and surpass in amidst this pandemic, learning will still take place. Thank you so much, and I believe that's all for today. And hopefully you'll be able to uh, um, watch the next webinar series, also for most essential learning competencies. Hello? Okay. So, so I guess this is perfect time for answering your questions. So this is a question from one of our viewers. So this is from Cleu. Maganda po ang ideya, pero paano na lang po ang mga batang kahit sa paaralan ay tamad ng magtrabaho sa kanilang activity? That's also a really big problem that we really have to face. Reality check, there are a lot of students who are demotivated. And I see that would be one of the thing that we have to, or the department has to develop among the teachers, regardless whether there's the presence of teachers or not. The students will somehow develop an um, intrinsic value wherein they will be motivated to do it on their own. Now, the one thing that I could think of that will somehow help the students to be motivated and not lazy in doing activity is with the help of the parent. But the problem is sometimes the parents are the one who are the root cause of why the students are really like that. So basically, that's still a problem that still it's still a problem, which is, I guess, that will require another room for discussion. Hopefully nabigyan ko ng sagot or justice yung tanong. So yun po. So kung tinatamad po yung mga bata, yun po talaga. Wala po tayong magagawa. Pero sana po magkaroon po tayo, ma-train po yung magulang kung paano yung different motivations. Kasi sa school, di ba, yung mga teachers nakakapagbigay ng motivation. So sana yung mga parent teachers as facilitators, they also will be equipped on how they will motivate their children. Next, another question from Noriel Kayabyab. Question lang po, paano po yung grouping students kung sa online classes po? Thanks po. Based from my experience kasi, I'm using Google Classroom before. So for Google Classroom, I have differentiated instruction. Now for the differentiated instruction, obviously you know your students already, but for those who do not know their students yet, you can do a pre-assessment, and from that pre-assessment you will be able to categorize or classify your students, and based from that classification you can come up with your group or groupings of students, either by batch or it could be depending on the learning style. So yun po, pwede pong ganun gawin natin. Hello po, so yun po for Ma'am Noriel or Miss Noriel Kayabia. Another question from Kimberly Cortez. Hello po sir, can you give us concrete examples po on how can we do horizontal integration in different subject areas considering the most essential learning competencies? Thank you po. Now, based on my experience kasi, I handled PE class for senior high school. Since I'm not a PE major, one learning task that I instructed among my students is to come up with a seminar in relation to physical education or health concern. Now, dun sa unknowingly na yung palang ginawa nilang seminar na yon, so po pwede siguro, since we are in the virtual learning, pwede siguro yung mga bata, pwede rin silang magkaroon ng ganitong klase ng webinar. Wherein, dun sa webinar na yon, or doon sa seminar na ginawa ng mga bata, pumasok doon yung entrepreneurship, yung empowerment technologies, yung English or communication skills kasi sila yung gumawa ng mga correspondence, no? Sila din yung communication among dun sa mga attendees, dun sa speaker, sila din yung gumawa ng advertisement, sila din yung nag-facilitate dun sa paggawa ng mga certificates, no? So sila mismo yung gumawa. So doon napansin ko na hindi lang yung subject area ko yung naging focus nila, but another thing that they were able to practice or apply ay yung mga learnings na nakuha nila across the different subject areas. So pwedeng ganun po. So po pwedeng ganito yung webinar. So they can come up with their own webinar. So since meron na silang grouping, kaya nga po ng tanong ni Miss Noriel Kayabgab, so yung grouping na po na yon, po pwede pong magkaroon po sila ng different committees. And then they can come up with a webinar. So pwede pong ganon. Another question from Leonida Galang. May I ask, how does grouping students in steps in horizontal integration happens? The fact that it's not a face-to-face instruction. Di ba po doon po sa ating mga learning delivery modalities, marami po tayong pwedeng gamitin. So aside from the face-to-face, meron po tayong mga distance learning. Doon po sa distance learning, di ba po meron tayong online distance learning. Doon sa online distance learning, so pwede po magkaroon tayo ng grouping. Sabi nga po ni Yusek San Antonio, po pwedeng synchronous. Pwedeng mag-set kayo ng specific time or schedule na lahat kayo ng student na to with a certain or with a specific learning style mag-online at the same time para gawin lang yung isang learning task. So po pwede pong ganon. So pwede po na ganon. Yun po. Pwede rin naman pong modular. So ang bibigyan nyo lang po ng modular module for this learning style yung batang ganito. Pwede naman ito pong mga bata na to or grupo ng mga bata na to. Tapos another module naman para dito sa mga batang ito. So ganun po. Pwede rin po yung blended learning. So nasa sa inyo po kung paano nyo po gagawin yung grouping. I know you are in the best position po para makapagsabi kung ano po yung what would be the most appropriate or suitable learning delivery modalities na gagamitin niyo aside from face-to-face. Kasi nga po, di ba po, ang major concern natin yung health safety po natin. Next, sana po nasagot ko po yung tanong ni Miss Leonida Gala. Next po, from Miss Carmelita Domantay. For senior high school curriculum, there will be difficulties in preparing materials for horizontal integration in collaboration with MELCH, or most essential learning competencies. Are there samples for this in the different core subject? Ngayon po, gaya po ng nabanggit po kanina, I got a chance po na pa-check po yun. Shinare lang din po sa akin ni Doc Pampilon. Yung sa Teach Pinas, nakita ko po dun yung essential learning competencies for core subjects ng senior high school. Ngayon po, nung chinek ko po yung after po na matrim down po, doon po lumabas doon sa most essential learning competencies, doon sa applied subjects, ang konti na lang po niya. Parang sobrang konti na lang po niya. Kasi po kung mapapansin nyo, doon po sa mga nagtuturo sa senior high school, ang dami po nating mga learning competencies na overlapping. I handled English subjects, yung pong halimbawa po sa oral com, sa English for academic and professional purposes, in sa creative writing. Karamihan po doon ng mga skills na dinedevelop ay parang redundancy na lang po nung mga learning competencies. So po, ang nakita ko pong kagandahan dito po sa sa most essential learning competencies na wala na po yung redundancy. Kung ano na lang po talaga yung kailangan ng bata, doon na lang po sila magfo-focus. Opo. So halimbawa nito, yung sa mga yung katulad nga po nung sa note taking, no? So yung note taking na po niya na-discuss po sa English for Academic, sa oral com, sa creative writing, kung tutuusin po, pwedeng isang subject lang naman po talaga yung magturo. No? Next po, yun po yung sample ko. So yun po yung nakita ko na kagandahan po nun. So parang hindi naman po siya difficulty. Parang mas naging advantageous po nga po siya dun sa mga nagtuturo sa senior high school. Another question from Mr. Nino Sierra, is collaborative activities for the students still applicable in horizontal integration? Salamat po. Ayun po, last question na po. Yun po. Collaborative activities po pwede pa rin naman po. Kasi nga po, di ba, siguro kailangan lang po talaga nating i-maximize or i-utilize yung technology doon po sa available po talaga yung technology. Pero doon nga po sa mga areas na meron pong technological barriers, cultural barriers, or geographical barriers, siguro po makaka-devise po ang teachers. Kasi bago pa naman po itong pandemic na to, problema na natin yan. So siguro po this would be the perfect time para po magkaroon, para i-customize natin yung ating teaching strategies to come up with a collaborative activity in the absence of the school setup or the classroom setting. So dito po papasok yung galing nating mga educator, nating mga guro, kung paano po natin magiging mas interactive or mas collaborative yung learning while they are staying at home. So we can find ways. Alam ko po, tayo po yung mga Pilipino na kaya po nating makapag-isip. Alam niyo naman po, nakilala po ang mga Pilipino sa pagiging madiskarte. Alam ko po magagawa natin ng diskarte yan kung paano po natin masusolusyonan yung ganyang klase ng problema. Yun lamang po at sana po nabigyan ko po ng hustisya lahat po ng aking naibigay na sagot at nakabigay po ng linaw sa inyong lahat. So muli po, maraming salamat po. We heal as one, we learn as one, Pilipinas. Sulong edukalidad. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon po. Stay safe everyone. Bye!